So the first flagship killer that I bought for myself was the Xiaomi Mi 3, and I used this phone for a couple of months before upgrading to the Mi 4, and then I finally got myself the OnePlus 3 and I've never looked back since. In fact, my whole family uses OnePlus phones, and what I'm trying to convey by that is that I'm a huge advocate for the brand, and using the OnePlus 8 for the past week reminded me exactly why I love the brand so much. But it also highlighted why this is no longer the best OnePlus phone you can buy, or even the most value for money OnePlus phone. Now, I've been using this phone for a week, so in this video, I'll give you my full review of the OnePlus 8, and in the end, we'll talk about whether you should buy this phone or not. Let's go. So guys, before we get on with the video, make sure to hit the bell icon and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any awesome tech content that we put out. Now that you've done that, let's get on with the full review of the OnePlus 8. Okay, so the OnePlus 8 is an extremely good looking phone, and the Onyx Black color variant sent to me for review looks really classy.
I wouldn't be surprised if this phone in this color finds itself in the pockets of a lot of office goers. It's a really subtle look, but at the same time, it definitely looks the part of an expensive phone, even from a distance. But if I was given the choice to pick the color for my review unit, I wouldn't pick this color for two reasons. Firstly, this hue is a fingerprint magnet, and it can go from looking like this to this in a matter of seconds. Secondly, the frosted matte finish on the OnePlus 7T spoiled me, and I don't like phones with a glossy finish all that much anymore.
And lastly, this is a very I have to shoot a YouTube video problem, but the back of this phone is extremely reflective, so it's actually very difficult to get good design shots of this phone.
But these are obviously minor inconveniences, and on the whole, the OnePlus 8 is a sexy phone. I'm glad that the company went back to the vertically aligned camera setup for the rear, as the Oreo shade module on the OnePlus 7T just looked a little odd. I mean, the phone still has a chunky camera bump, so it still rattles when laid flat on a desk, but I like how it looks now. Also, the frame is narrower at 72.9mm when compared to the OnePlus 7 and the OnePlus 7T, which means that your hands will be able to grip the OnePlus 8 better, and it's actually a really comfortable phone to use with just one hand, since the weight distribution is fantastic too, so it never felt top heavy. So from an ergonomic standpoint, the OnePlus 8 is a really comfortable phone to use, and I'm sure you'll all love it. Now moving on, fingerprint sensors on OnePlus phones have always been top notch, and the same is the case with the OnePlus 8 too. Now the sensor is among the fastest I've used, and it is very reliable too. The same goes for the facial recognition software, which is fast, reliable, accurate, and only struggle to recognize my face at night. Now after using this setup for a week, I know I'll hate coming back to my Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. Oh, and I can attest that the adaptive brightness on this phone is better than what you get with the OnePlus 7T and the OnePlus 7. It takes a couple of seconds to adjust to your environment, but it didn't get too dim or too bright on a whim.
Okay guys, so on my right is the OnePlus 7T Pro, and on my left is the brand new OnePlus 8. So as you can see, both the smartphones currently have their adaptive brightness turned on. So this is just to show you that the adaptive brightness actually works better on the OnePlus 8, and it's not as comical as it was on the 70 and the 70 Pro. So if you could please turn off the lights. So all the lights are off now, and as you can see, so guys, as you could see, the OnePlus 8 was actually adjusting the brightness. It does take a while to adjust to the environmental lighting, but it does adjust. The 70 Pro was constant, and this has been a lot of users' biggest gripe with the OnePlus 70 series of phones, that it does not adjust automatic brightness on its own. So yeah, great on the OnePlus 8.
Now compared to the OnePlus 8 Pro, you obviously miss out on two big design features. Number one, no IP rating on the OnePlus 8, and number two, no wireless charging either. Now is it a big deal?
For someone like me, yes, but for most of you, no. See, I think it looks bad on the OnePlus 8 because the 8 Pro has all these features, so think of it like this one exam that you fail, but your best friend aces. Now, had your best friend also failed, you wouldn't have felt as bad about failing the exam, right? So yeah, it's not a big deal.
Now the OnePlus 8 ships with a 6.55-inch panel, which has a couple of things going for it. Now firstly, it's a 90Hz screen, so super smooth animations. Secondly, it's a full HD plus display with Widevine L1 certification and HDR10 plus support, so pretty sharp for watching movies on the go. Also, unlike the display on the 70 or the 7, the screen on the OnePlus 8 is a little curved and I really like it. This is the perfect amount of curvature on a display as it is not too steep and it doesn't really register accidental touches all that much either.
And lastly, this phone comes with a punch hole notch, and the display on both the 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro have been tuned really well. In fact, they come with A+ display rating from DisplayMate, which is kind of a big deal. But the question is, should you care? Well, unless you require a professionally calibrated display, not really.
But if you are curious, then the colors that you see on the OnePlus 8's display are very close to how they should be in real life, and I can attest to that. The display isn't overtly saturated as it was on the 7 or the 70, and yet it still retains the good qualities of an OLED screen. So extremely deep blacks, good contrast, the works. And if you don't like how the screen looks from the get-go, you can tweak it further as OnePlus offers a really nifty customization tool within the display settings. You also get an always-on display with customizable clock faces, a reading mode, and a blue light filter baked into OnePlus 8 software. So, on the whole, the display on the OnePlus 8 is great, be it watching for movies, playing games, or just scrolling endlessly through your Twitter or Instagram feed.
But two important questions are, is the display on the OnePlus 8 better than what you get on the OnePlus 7T, which has the same physical dimensions, the same AMOLED technology, and the same 90Hz refresh rate? And is it inferior to the 120Hz display on the OnePlus 8 Pro?
Well, to answer the first bit, yes, it is better but only marginally. In fact, I don't really think anyone will appreciate the display tuning as much as they will the punch hole notch, which offers a more immersive viewing experience.
Now, to answer the second question, yes, the display on the OnePlus 8 is inferior to the display you get with the OnePlus 8 Pro, and this time around the gap is a little wide. See, I used the 120Hz display on the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus, and I instantly noticed a difference when I switched back to 90Hz screen on the OnePlus 8.
Also, remember, unlike the S20 Plus, the 8 Pro can use the 120Hz refresh rate at a Quad HD Plus resolution. So not only are you getting a smoother display than the OnePlus 8, but you're also getting a sharper screen.
But don't let that dishearten you, because the screen on the OnePlus 8 is actually really good. So now let's take a look at the performance. Now, even though the OnePlus McLaren partnership has come to an end, the company's phones are still stupid fast.
The OnePlus 8 2 offers excellent performance, and honestly, this is one area where OnePlus just doesn't screw up. Be it benchmarks or day-to-day performance, the OnePlus 8 is without a shadow of the doubt the fastest phone I've used till date. Animations are slick, app opening times are rapid, and the phone can keep a ton of apps in memory, making it easy and seamless to switch between different applications. Oh, and it's great for gaming too. You can max out the settings for every single game out there, including PUBG, and which plays at HDR and Extreme on the phone, and Call of Duty, which runs at very high and max. Now, the only issue which I faced with the phone's performance was that it doesn't handle thermals very well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I for one didn't notice any thermal throttling issues, but the phone does get really warm to the touch. Warmer than the X50 Pro for sure, which offers similar core specs. Moreover, if you are interested, then let me clarify that the performance jump from the 70 to the 8 is almost negligible to the human eye, and everything you can do on the OnePlus 8, you can also do on the OnePlus 7T. I mean, you do get a faster CPU with the 8, but the storage solution and the RAM being used are the same.
So both the phones come with LPDDR4X memory, which also explains why the Realme X50 Pro, which comes with LPDDR5 memory, scored higher in Antutu benchmark. You see, Antutu actually factors in the RAM of a smartphone too. Now, compared to the OnePlus 8 Pro, I doubt you will see a massive spike in performance when you're using the OnePlus 8 Pro versus the OnePlus 8, but I haven't really tested the phone, and Irshad will have to say more when he reviews the OnePlus 8 Pro. So for now, let's move on to the cameras.
So the OnePlus 8 uses pretty much the same camera sensors which were present on the 70. In fact, barring the macro sensor on the 8, which replaces the telephoto sensor of the 70, all other camera sensors are the same. So towards the back, the smartphone comes with a 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 sensor, which is assisted by a 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens and a 2 megapixel macro shooter. Now for selfies, the phone gets a 16 megapixel Sony IMX471 sensor.
So how good is the camera on the OnePlus 8 to begin with? Well, let me walk you through the daylight shots first.
Right off the bat, I can assure you that the phone is capable of clicking some really good images. In fact, I've never felt that the OnePlus 8's photos weren't detailed enough. The exposure control was spot on too, and the phone was quick to focus onto a subject as well. My only issue was that I wasn't the biggest fan of the phone's image processing, which swayed to extremely cooler tones. Now take a shot of this tree for instance. Here you can see that the photo exhibited a bluish tint, and the blues and the greens in the shot are really boosted too. Furthermore, while the phone kept highlights in check, it also darkened the shadows in order to output a more contrasty and dramatic photo. Now some people might enjoy this, but I like my phone's camera to click the scene as is. Now here's the same photo, but this time I clicked it with the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. Now I know this isn't a fair comparison, but the reason I bring to your attention this photo is because I want you to see how the scene actually looked like. So don't worry about the details, but just look at how different the colors look in the two photos. Similarly, if you compare the phone's output to that of an iPhone SE 2020, you'll get a similar result. While the OnePlus 8 clicks photos with the same amount of details, it overcompensates by boosting the blues and the greens, thereby making the scene appear unnatural. That said, I would like to point out that the smartphone has excellent dynamic range. I mean, just look at how beautiful the sky looks in this photo. Now coming to the wide angle shots, I noticed that there's firstly a massive color tone disparity between the standard and the wide angle shooter. You can see how the colors of the photo on the right appear muted. Now you can easily fix this by bringing up the saturation in any photo editing app, but it's worth pointing out. Also, the wide angle photos from the OnePlus 8 exhibit blurry and distorted edges, which frankly is the case with pretty much all smartphones. Now there is an ultra wide angle correction feature in the settings, but I didn't really notice any difference in the shots even after enabling it.
As for macros, well, it's a 2 megapixel sensor, so don't expect anything major out of it. What I don't understand is why did OnePlus even include the sensor in the first place? I mean, the company has rightfully demonstrated that you can take good macro images with a wide angle sensor, so why include this and not a more useful telephoto lens? Just doesn't make any sense.
Now coming to the low light photos, the OnePlus 8's nightscape mode gave me good results. Now I must tell you that the night mode would only kick in if the area was too dark, and at times the photo clicked without night mode looked the same as the one clicked with night mode. But on the whole, the low light shots look good, there wasn't a whole lot of grain in the images, and the smartphone managed to resolve the details of the elements in the shot nicely too. The selfies from the phone look good with accurate skin tones and good details overall. The portrait mode for the front camera creates a convincing blur effect around the subject too, so no complaints here either. Coming to the low light selfies, you will notice that images taken with the screen flash on offer superior facial details as opposed to the ones taken with screen flash off. For videos, you get all the standard modes with the OnePlus 8, including the ability to record in 60 fps on both 1080p and 4K resolution. However, this time around, the phone also offers a Cine 4K recording option, which basically records your footage in 21:9 aspect ratio. Now, it's a really cool feature, and here's how the footage looks in standard 4K 60 and Cine 4K 60.
Okay guys, so this is the 4K Cine 60 FPS footage on the OnePlus 8. Now do let me know in the comments below what you make of this footage. If you feel like this is a more immersive viewing experience than when compared to the standard 4K 60 FPS footage or not. And again, as I pan towards my right, do let me know the shift in the dynamic range, if it's subtle enough, if it's a little erratic, and also how my audio output was on both the footages. Okay guys, so this clip right here is being recorded in the standard 4K 60 FPS on the OnePlus 8. Do let me know in the comments below if you like the stability of this footage. And as I pan towards the right now, you will be able to see a shift in the dynamic range as I pan towards the sky. So yeah, do let me know in the comments below what you make of this footage. Do you think this is a good phone for video recording or not in the comments below? As far as the quality of the footage is concerned, I was actually quite impressed with the Cine 4K footage. It was pretty stable and boy did it look immersive. So yeah, you'll have a lot of fun shooting that with this phone. And also the audio output that the mic captured for both the 4K 60 FPS and the 4K Cine 60 FPS footage was pretty good. It cancelled environmental noise really well, so I have no complaints there either.
Last but certainly not the least, you also get slow-mo recording at 480 fps on 720p resolution and 240 fps on 1080p resolution. Now the footage looked fine, but I would advise you to use this mode with ample light around, else the output is really grainy. Now, a big part why OnePlus phones perform so well is because they have excellent and optimized software. Now, with the OnePlus 8, you're going to get Oxygen OS version 10.5.8, which brings a slew of enhancements, both visual and functional. Firstly, the icons on the notification trail look slightly different, and I really like the newer aesthetic. Secondly, you can now choose to have either OnePlus Shelf or Google's Discover feed, which is a really nice touch too. Oh, and the punch hole camera lights up whenever you use facial recognition. Now, I'm sure that these features will come to older OnePlus phones too, so if you have the 70, it goes without saying that you need not upgrade to the 8 for these small changes. Now, you'll obviously get other software-based features which make using a OnePlus phone so good, like the hidden space, lots and lots of customization features, screen on and off gestures, and much more. Now, the new functional features which I noticed with the phone included Android Auto baked into the OS, a brand new Force Dark Mode feature under the OnePlus Laboratory tab, and the ability to use your data and Wi-Fi simultaneously for improved connectivity. So all that's great, but that doesn't mean the software experience on the OnePlus 8 is perfect. For one, I noticed that Google Chrome just stopped working randomly and I had issues with gestures too. The swipe up to go back gesture stopped working from time to time and I couldn't swipe left on the screen to bring down the keyboard like I could on previous iterations of Oxygen OS. So OnePlus, if you're listening, please fix these issues. The battery life on the other hand has been phenomenal on the OnePlus 8. Now this is quite possibly the best battery life I've seen on a phone with a 90Hz display, and on average, I was getting over 8 hours of screen on time with the phone, with my usage comprising of a lot of Twitter and Instagram browsing, gaming for an hour every day on the phone, and watching a ton of YouTube videos. So yeah, battery life is great, and to charge the phone completely, it'll take you around 1 hour and 20 minutes.
So there's no headphone jack on the OnePlus 8, so that means that if you want to listen to music on the phone, you will probably have to buy a pair of Bluetooth earphones. I'd recommend the Oppo Enco N31, the review link should be somewhere up here, or you could just buy a dongle.
Either way, the OnePlus 8 didn't exhibit any connectivity issues on Bluetooth. I did test the phone with the Bullets Wireless Z, Hi-Fi Man TWS600 and a few more earphones, and they all worked fine. You also get a stereo speaker setup on the phone, which honestly doesn't get that loud. In fact, the ones on the iPhone SE 2020 offer a richer and louder audio output. Now, as for calls, I didn't face any issues on Airtel, and people on the other end never complained about voice drops either, so that's great.
Okay, verdict time. So see, my job as a reviewer is to tell you two things. Firstly, is the product bad? And secondly, is it worth your money? Now, to answer the first question, no, the OnePlus 8 is not a bad product. It is a fantastic smartphone and I've loved using it. Is the product worth your money though? Well, see, unlike the 70 and the 70 Pro, the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro are actually quite different smartphones. So instead of being closer to the OnePlus 8 Pro, the OnePlus 8 is actually quite close to or quite similar to the OnePlus 7T. Now that means that if you buy the OnePlus 8, then firstly, you're going to get an inferior phone when compared to the OnePlus 8 Pro, because let me remind you, the 8 Pro gets faster RAM, IP rating, wireless charging, and a better display. Now secondly, if you buy the OnePlus 8 over the OnePlus 7T, then you're not going to get as much value for your money because, again, let me remind you, both the smartphones have the same main rear camera sensor, the same selfie camera, the same wide charging speeds, similar displays, and very similar performance. And if you look at the competition, then the picture gets even worse for the OnePlus 8, as the Realme X50 Pro, which undoubtedly is a better phone for gaming and for any performance-oriented tasks, as it comes with a dedicated vapor cooling chamber, LPDDR5 memory, and faster wired charging, it costs less than the OnePlus 8. Heck, if you just want the best possible performance for your buck, then you might as well go with the iQOO 3, which is the cheapest Snapdragon 865 smartphone that you can buy right now. So unless you want the latest affordable OnePlus phone, I wouldn't recommend you go for the OnePlus 8. See, it's a fantastic phone, but it just makes no logical sense over the Realme X50 Pro or even the OnePlus 7T for that matter. But guys, that wraps up my full review of the OnePlus 8. Do let me know in the comments below of what you make of this device. Would you buy it over the OnePlus 7T or the X50 Pro? And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please do give us a big thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Until next time, this is Prateek from Mr. Phone signing off.